Alright, we're back. Today we're going to be doing a 1-inch service tee. So we've got a gate valve that's damaged. Gate is stuck, either open or closed, because it's snapped and severed from the stem. So that's going. We're going to install ball valve. And the PRV is also all rusted out and it's stuck. So we're gonna put in a new PRV. We'll get started. I shut the water main off, and yeah. Also in this application, I'm gonna flip the shutoff valve down below and the PRV above. This is the irrigation and the anti-siphon valve. It's all deleted, so the irrigation is gonzo. This is an improper installation of an anti-siphon valve anyway. It's supposed to be above 6 inches above, so this sucker's going, one, they don't use it, and two, it's an eyesore. So cut this off. Hopefully the water's drained off enough. I can just pull this sucker straight out. Alright, so we got our B tank, and we open it a quarter turn for safety in the event of an emergency. In the event of an emergency, I'm going to be way over there. You turn it off. So that's my thoughts on that. The last guy didn't ream it. And that's one of the most important things. Copper installation is reaming. It's a good habit to get into, especially in these larger sizes, you know. See, there's voids all over this. See that? It'll really be visible once I clean it. You can see. You see that? See the tin and the void. Preparation, brazing, soldering. I mean, they are the spokesperson for it. I mean, you know, and it's all free information, you know. Don't cost you nothing. So click away. Copper.org. That's where you want to go. If you got questions or you're unsure of something, that's it, man. They are it. I mean, I seen guys with one guy, a video, a guy used antifreeze. Put antifreeze, dip the pipe. This is how you know, what a ham and egg. And this is drinking water. This is potable water. And you're going to dip it in antifreeze for a good solder joint? Are you kidding me? I mean, and I seen it had a ton of views. So I'm thinking now, there's 500,000 meatheads out there that think that dipping copper in antifreeze is good practice or standard practice. They must be out of their mind do that, you know. So you know, don't believe every, you know, that. Go to copper.org. You know, even if you don't like my video, go there and, you know, and study it on your own. You know, I don't like his accent. Well, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but at least I want to send you through the proper channels, and you can, you know, read up on all their literature. I'm sure they even have like a 1-8 number excuse me, a 1-800 number. You call them, they'll send it to you. So if you want to, you know, heat everything up and distribute the heat all the way around your fitting. And what do we do when we're done soldering? We don't do anything. We leave it alone. Do something else. Go smoke a cigarette. Make a phone call. Whatever it takes. Clean up. Prep. We don't flash cool it. We don't touch it. We don't do anything. Let that thing cool down naturally. And I'm going to explain why. Let's see, who's it? Worthington. That's who makes this one. You go to any plumbing supplier, they've got a shelf of different manufacturers, different rolls of solder. They are all proprietary. Flux and solder are proprietary, meaning that's our product. We make it. You know, you can't, each one is a different recipe. And solder is a mixture of all kinds of metals. You know, they got silver in there, tin, antimony, the list goes on and on and on. Each one of those metals has a specific cooling temperature where, you know, some cool fast, some cool slow. And when you take a rag and you touch it, or you cool it with water, each one of those metals, since it's a mixture, specifically cools down differently. It has completely different properties. So the best thing to do is nothing. Leave it alone. Let it cool down by itself. Because if you, and that's called flash cooling. If you flash cool something, then you've went from an extreme temperature down to a temperature that in seconds. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that if you were to look at it like under a microscope or whatever, you know, you're going to stress it, and that's going to fracture, and that's where you're going to have a leak. And you know, so I can't wait for the responses on this one. You know, oh, well, I've been doing this for 30 years. Well, you've been doing it wrong for 30 years. And it's, you know, it's no big deal, man. Swallow your pride. Go to copper.org and learn, you know, and you'll be amazed. I was fortunate enough to go to a lecture during my 4-year apprenticeship through copper development. That's who it is. You go to copper.org, you're going to get copper development. And I was fortunate enough to go to a seminar, and I'm telling you, it was the tops. I mean, I learned so much that I didn't know that I've been doing it wrong all this time, man. And that's the thing, you know. We learn plumbing from, you know, as a helper. So you know, if the guy that's teaching you didn't know the correct procedure, and you learn from him and you teach the next guy, now there's 3 people that it's a chain of events where nobody knows the correct procedure. We're learning, you know, wrong because that's what the last guy taught us. So if that makes sense, you know, it's this guy teaches this guy, this, you know, on and on and on and on. So that's why I say, I mean, you know, I've been doing this for 30 years. Well, I don't know what to tell you, fella. Okay, I heated this up and got that grape out of there and let it cool back down. Sorry about that, and make a phone call. So, and this sucker's still a little hot, man. I could probably leave it be for, you know, a little longer, but for time's sake. And this was that same piece, so. This one's already been reamed. I got rid of that grape. I didn't want that in there. So my plan is put that sucker on there and boom, 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 boom. However, we gotta get this burnt in place now, and then let this cool down. Then we can Teflon pipe dope it. And before I do that, I'm gonna prefabricate another one to go into here. Does that make sense? So it cools down, and then I can, because I only got one union. So here we go again. Our torch, we point it so it points out the cup. You don't this way. No, you point it out of the cup. Yeah. Look how pretty that is. They get it nice and hot, but not too hot. And look how pretty that is. Looks like a machine did that, man. I'm gonna let this cool down, then I'll prefabricate. Then stay tuned. And this one, I think I'll go over there, you know. Yeah. Here's another pointer. When you're reaming, keep your hand, you know, if you're right-handed, keep your left hand off a little bit, back away. Guys ream like this. Oh man, I was working with a guy one time and it slipped and it got him right here, and oh man, it was disgusting. So, you know, keep your hand back a little bit, because that just slipped and got me like that, but you know, at least it didn't get me there, man. I mean, this thing is like a knife, man. I mean, it whacked him. It was all split up. It was funky. Oh man, I throw up just thinking about it. But you know, you ream, you know, don't be right up on it. So you young guys, watch this. There's a pointer from me. And save your hand, save you a trip for stitches and tetanus shots and a bad day. I got a little bit of mobility. I'm gonna pull it forward, put the T-bone on. So I get this T on, I slide forward, straight back. And that is snug as a bug in a rug. This is a street female, so I'll put that there, and we'll put a hose bib on the end. Now, we got two horizontal joints. Everything was vertical. Horizontal joints, if you're gonna have a leak, that's where it's gonna be. And that's always, 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 I see this time and time again. Everybody starts the solder at the top. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You're gonna start at the bottom and do half a crescent. Go the other side, start at the bottom, go the other half crescent. Does that make sense? So your heat, you're not gonna let gravity work. What happens is you end up with, and I'll give you a little visual with this Sharpie. You end up filling the cup, but you don't get the bottom side. So when you start up here, okay, what happens is you get this effect, okay? And remember down here with them voids, it's I always see voids like that on the underside, and that's because they start at the top and it fills in the cup, but they don't, you know, you want to fill it in, and it, you know, that way it gets full penetration. Does that make sense? If you start at the top and we undo your, you know, your horizontal joint and look at it, you're gonna have a void just like that. So, you know, go to Copper Development, you know, go to their website. You're gonna see that. And it was one of those things that, you know, that was a mistake I made for years until, you know, until I was fortunate enough to attend that lecture during my apprenticeship. So, you know, and even, you know, even in small, you know, situations, well, I'm just soldering 1/2 inch. Well, get into that good habit, because as the pipe sizes get larger, you know, you're into the good habit of doing it correctly. Not, you know, because, you know, you're trying to sweat a piece of 4-inch copper. Well, everything you know about 1/2 inch copper just went out the window, because, and you better, you know, you better have your wits about you and really strong technique, you know, or don't do it at all. Great. What do we do when we're done? Nothing. We leave it alone. That's it. So I'm gonna let it cool down completely, and then I'm gonna wipe down all the flux, you know, but I'm not gonna tint it. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna let this sucker, you know, the heat radiate from it, and it's gonna cool down naturally, and then I can go through and, you know, get rid of the flux, all the joints off of, you know, all the green, all the excess flux. That's, excuse me, that's what I meant to say. I get rid of all the excess flux, wipe it down nice and clean. But right now, you know, I'm not gonna touch it, and, you know, well, I don't want to touch it anyway. I mean, things smoking hot, so just makes good sense. Okay, we're back. Everything's nice and cooled down naturally. I get in here and scrub, get all that excess flux off. And you can touch it bare hands now, you know. I mean, and that's what you want. Prepped up a hose bib, gotta add some dope, and I got my gauge. The water main on, it's live to here. Open the ball valve. We're gonna flush just for a little bit, you know. We're gonna flush out the flux, the shavings from reaming, you know, and clean it out. That way we're not pushing it into the house. So, and then, you know, don't stand in front of it. I'll turn this down a little bit now. Get the air out of it, of course. You know, we want to flush it just a little bit. That's what I picked up. But I did that while I was waiting on this to cool. So, you know, that's the thing. You know, clean up. I would have never been able to do this with everything there. And hopefully the glare isn't screwing it up. And that's 45. If we turn to the right, we're going to increase. If we turn to the left, we'll decrease. But that's plenty of pressure for this application. I mean, it's just a residential house, so we're good to go. Another well done job without using antifreeze.